Before my son went to university, I had no idea what chaplaincy was. I'd never even heard of it. The big disconnect in our community is that we spend so much on Jewish education in primary school and now in secondary schools as well, and there's no follow-up. We somehow very often just send them off to university and never really think, well, how are we going to maintain their Judaism? How are they going to maintain their Judaism? You know, we're parents who are sending our kids off to university. We want them to mix in Jewish circles. We want them to stay true to their Judaism if we can, and the chaplaincy provides that.
In the main, you're taking Jewish teenagers away from home, from London, and they're travelling many hundreds of miles in some cases away from home to a community environment that has no support structure outside of their own peers. Now, as a parent myself, that's of profound concern, because I know that the students are going to encounter difficulties, and at the same time they're at a time in their life when they're shaping their own views of the whole of the future, the whole of the rest of their life. Chaplaincy is there to protect them, to look after them from a pastoral perspective, to give them the welfare care that they need, and to support them as they move forward in their Jewish journey. That to me is essential.
Jewish students are on the front line. University is very often a time when they're away from home, away from friends, very vulnerable, where they're facing new social and intellectual challenges, and frankly, times when they're on the front line of anti-Zionist and sometimes anti-Semitic pressures. So the Jewish community has to be there for them in the form of university chaplains who relate to them in all sorts of ways, pastorally, socially, as counselors, as people who make them feel they have someone to talk to, a shoulder to cry on, somebody to invite them to their home for hospitality. And our chaplains do an incredible job.
I'm chaplain of all of Scotland, so there's about 5 or 6 universities that I service. The main ones where there are Jews are Glasgow, St Andrews, Edinburgh. So I suppose my job is like any other chaplain in the fact that we do socials and religious stuff. Shabbats we go away for Shabbat very often. So I'm there to help Jewish life keep going. Students run into trouble. Whether it's problems with work or family or stress. Sort of helping them, being a responsible adult where they won't have any other, support structure. And then, there are problems that come up, sort of anti-Semitism, anti-Israel activity here seems to be much more organised. A large part of my role in the past couple of years has been helping students deal with these problems.
I think that the chaplain we have is brilliant. I think that what they offer is, a good support group.
I actually, when I first got here, I was away from home. I was 3,500 miles from home. I was having trouble finding friends. I was, kind of in a bad place. It was terrifying, actually. I was in a foreign country, and I wasn't connecting with people in my program. I was connecting with people in my flat. And one of the first things I did was I emailed Rabbi Gary and said, I'd love to get involved with the Jewish Society, so I have something to do. And ever since then, every Wednesday for the rest of the year, I went to bagel lunch and I made lots of friends and I had people to hang out with, and it made life infinitely more easier for me.
Chaplaincy, as I see it, is quite unique in that it's offering something that nobody else offers. I remember one instance, a girl came knocking on my door, and she said to me, this was a Tuesday, and she said to me, Rabbi, my mother's having a brain operation on Friday. I don't know to whom to turn. And she said, I always wanted to go to synagogue, wanted to go to synagogue, never having been to synagogue. I've never been to synagogue. What do I do? What should my response? What can I do for my mother? So I spoke with her and gave her advice as best that I could. And I think it's really that interaction that takes place. And I think that more than anything else, it's that feeling of myself, chaplaincy, filling a void where nobody else can fill.
What surprised me most is the sort of range of places you'd find Rav Gav attending. I remember in my first year for Booze for Jews, him attending the club that we were in. So he really he gets involved in sort of every sort of event we have. I think it's critical. There is sort of nothing a sort of Jewish community will need more than a rabbi. And really, when it comes to being a student and you're sort of away from your community, that's something that you need. It's a must-have.
This is the time in life when people's minds and people's ideas and people's direction gets determined, and I think this is a very crucial time to not just let them go and forget about them after putting them through a Jewish school, investing all that money, putting all that time and effort into educating them, and then once they go to university and start really thinking things through themselves, just forget about them completely.
Myself and my husband, we don't look the classic rabbis. Yeah, Amiel doesn't have a beard, and yet we do perform a very Jewish, strong life. And for them to come and to have a look in our house to see how we live, how we raise our kids, there's several and different ways of practicing your Judaism. It doesn't have to be only in the Beit Midrash, only in Sem. You can live the real life, so to say, and still stay Jewish.
There are a lot of people that have been growing up in Jewish schools and they've had Judaism plugged into their life the whole time. So this is really, coming to university can be the first time where you leave the Jewish bubble, and just to know that you've got Jewish chaplains there which will act as your so-called adopted parents for the 3 years at university is a very nice feeling.
We meet twice a week usually to do a bit of Hebrew, and then a group of us meet for all pan on a Sunday night, and it's just a great difference to have, to still be learning even though the uni doesn't provide it.
It sort of provides you with some sort of base that is sort of like a little bit of home.
They offer good advice, they're there for you if you need help, especially with Friday night dinners, and when it comes to being Jewish, you have any problems, any questions, they're always there to help. They offer different classes and events throughout the week and for all the big festivals so that you don't feel that you're alone. Amiel
goes on hikes with them, I did Pilates with them, we do baking. I mean, they do things with the chaplains, not only do with text, because we believe the Torah is something that is a general concept that everything you do in life, you do as a Jew.
We've been working with students since I was 19, and this has been really our first job, and I love it, really, really love it. We've been here in Birmingham now for it's our 28th year.
When it comes to chaplaincy, the name of the game is to be there where the students are. So if the students are playing football, then the chaplain is there. If the students are out at the bar, then the chaplain will be there. And if the students are in university, then the chaplain also will be there.
I think I see the other chaplaincies on campus, and they play a very official role. They play kind of, we get involved if we have to, if there's a religious problem. Other than that, we stay out. Whereas I think the Jewish chaplaincy, from my perspective, seems to really get involved in every issue.
To have a chaplain on campus is so important. I live on student accommodation, and he comes even there, he knocks on our door, just comes in for a cup of tea, just to have a chat with us, to encourage us to come to events. He's on Facebook, he invites us to events on Facebook, which I definitely would not have heard of if it wasn't for the chaplain.
And they're always interested in how the students are doing and how they can help.
When I first came to Birmingham Uni, I was put in a non-kosher flat, which was really, really hard. So I immediately had quite a lot of things to speak to Fischl about, but he was really good, he was really easy to talk to, and eventually it got sorted out and I moved, and without his help, it wouldn't have been as easy to do.
For me, Fischl and Esther have been so vital in my university experience, because they're more than just chaplains, they're friends, they're really friends. And with anything you can come to them, got a problem, you can come by, their door is always open, and my Jewish experience would have been completely different. They've really made it a home for the Jewish students here. Whatever your religious level, whatever you do, they're so open.
To me, the students are like my children, and it's just an absolute privilege to be working with the students.
on the one hand, the darker side of student life. I know, because of the work that chaplains have been doing over the years on campus, there are people today whose lives haven't just been changed, they've been saved by the work of chaplaincy. That to me is very, very important. But at the same time, on a positive note, I know that there are thousands of Jewish students who have had experiences on campus that have been profoundly shaped by their chaplains, such that they've come back from campus and they're living a life, a Jewish, vibrant, upbeat, positive life that they wouldn't otherwise be living if it weren't for chaplaincy.
It is an amazing organisation in terms of the reach. I mean, from St Andrews to, you know, along the south coast, east, west, we're there, and we genuinely cover, and we're only doing one thing, and that's serving Jewish students. There is nothing else in terms of our focus is solely on Jewish students, and I think that's quite unique.
The main challenge that we face is to firmly establish chaplaincy everywhere that there are significant numbers of Jewish students. At the moment we're spending just under £1 million to do that. Really what we need is to raise £1.2 million that would allow us to recruit the very best chaplains to make sure that they're fully employed in all of those places. That's really what we need to do to take the organisation into its next phase.
You're investing in the welfare of Jewish students on campus. You're investing in communal life on campus. You're investing in Jewish continuity.
This really is where Jewish identities are either made or lost. And therefore the chaplaincy is creating a Jewish future. So this is a life-saving presence and a way of building our future, and the least we can do for our future leaders, for our future Jews, the Jewish students of today.